Hello, hello, and welcome to For Book's Sake. This is the podcast of 1852 Media with myself, Heather Roberts,
I'm Veronica Adams.
and we're here to talk with each other and hopefully give you some insight into the publishing industry. Veronica and myself we are 1852 Media, and we work with authors, also public figures, and small businesses to help them with their social media, digital imprint, social media marketing, branding, business consulting, the whole shebang. And we started in the publishing industry and mostly work with romance authors. So if you yourself are a romance author, we have a plethora of experience to pull from. Um,
Yes.
but we do believe that a lot of our experience is, what's the word? Easily transportable to this general social media marketing advice.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So there are so many things about social media that really are not nuanced. And so a lot of what
Correct.
we learned to do with romance authors, chasing those happily ever afters, definitely can be not cut and pasted, but certainly looked at as a skeleton for building plans for small business, public figures, and really anybody who needs to market themselves in some way online.
Exactly, exactly. But today, specifically, we wanted to have a little conversation about the industry, the publishing industry, and how it has changed. And yeah, it has changed so much. Even in the past year, it has changed so
Mhm.
much. It It's been wild. I started in this industry blogging in 2014, and that turned into the business in 2015. And Veronica joined us in 2017,
Yep.
and now we are in 2023, and it literally looks nothing like it did when we first started.
No. Oh my gosh. Like I look back on my time with you in 1852 and like the changes I saw between coming on board in 2017 and the start of the pandemic, they were big, definitely. There's no ignoring them. But the changes since the pandemic has begun, the last
Oh,
3 years has just been
it's crazy.
incredible. Incredible. Yeah.
And let's be honest, TikTok is a big part of that,
Absolutely.
huge part of that. And I love me some TikTok. I you will find me on TikTok a lot.
Mhm.
Multiple accounts all over the place.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's really changed the way that you market. It changes the way that you receive information. And it has, for better or worse, made it so that if you are a small business or an author, an author is a small business, let's just be clear about that. But
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
if you own any type of business, you now also have to be a content creator. And that is very daunting for many
Mhm.
people.
For sure.
I know a lot of our clients have been very reticent to join TikTok because they're just like, oh, another social media platform.
Well,
And this
yeah.
and this one you have to like consistently post things in order
Sure,
to make it
sure.
work.
Well, and if you skim the information that's available out there from the really large content creators who have enormous audiences and followings, you will understand very quickly that they got to where they're at and they have the audience and the reach that they have through a lot of daily feeding the platform content. I mean, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 hours a day sometimes creating content to build the followings they have. And when you are trying to write, because let's face it, it's publish or perish, right?
Right.
That's how cutthroat, especially for romance authors, the market is. If you aren't feeding your readers
Yep.
constantly, you're eventually going to fade into obscurity and you'll be a name from the past rather than a present force in the industry. You don't really have time
Yeah.
to spend 8 hours a day creating content for TikTok to market the books that you need to spend, I don't know, 4, 6, 8 hours a day writing or
Right.
editing or plotting or, whatever the case may be.
Not to mention
Um,
all the other tasks that come along with it, with the
yeah.
uploading and the creating of the blurbs and the picking the covers and the
The
designing,
keywords
the
and
met yeah,
oh
the
my goodness, the
categories,
yeah, all the
updating
metadata.
your back matter and
Mhm. Sending out
then
that newsletter
yeah,
and
and
updating your own posts and pages off of TikTok. I mean, you still
and
got to feed
finding then
Instagram, you still got to feed Facebook, maybe you're on Twitter, like whatever
yeah.
works for your brand.
And then, also finding people to read your book. So
Yeah.
there's that too.
Yeah.
So I mean, this was not meant to be a like overwhelming. Like if you're an author and you just listen to this, you're like,
Oh,
holy shit, I'm
Heather
gonna
Veronica said the
die.
sky is falling. Ah! Yeah, no, it's not like that.
Yeah, you're not gonna. It's okay. It's okay. It's take a deep breath. This is good. This is a calming moment here. You're gonna be okay. You can you can do a variety of things. Listen, do you have to be on TikTok in order to be successful? The
No.
answer is no. The answer is no. TikTok is a tool, just like all other social media platforms, just like your newsletter, just like services that help get you the word out about your book. These are all tools that you can use, and you can pick and choose which ones are going to work best for you, which ones you like the most, which ones are the most effective. And sometimes that little Venn diagram is not the same. What is
Yeah.
most effective is not always what you're going to like the most. But it's one tool out of many. And some people
Absolutely.
have thrived on TikTok. I mean, it has taken some folks who have not had or have had great success and threw them up into a different tier level.
Sure.
Or it has taken other people out of obscurity and,
Yeah.
given them success that they've never seen before. And it's amazing. Those book talkers, I mean, they're fierce. They
They
are
are.
fierce. I mean, let's talk about a couple of things. So, a couple of things that I've seen on TikTok come up this week. Let's dive into the tea, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So one thing I saw, and I made a TikTok about this on our TikTok account and rambled for about 4 minutes. So I'll try not to do that now. Even though this is long form and I could go longer. Um, but
Girl, you ramble. That's what we're here for.
I know. So there was a TikToker who I saw and an author, and she was lamenting that, and I can't tell if it was a stunt, like a PR stunt or not. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because you
Yeah.
don't know people's intentions, but I'm just going to take it at face value. She was saying, "You're not going to see my book all over TikTok." Because I just got word back. She had emailed out, a request for a review to influencers, and she got back a rate card from one person. It was going to be $7,000
Oh, shocker.
for a
Somebody wants to be
TikTok
paid
video.
for their work.
Exactly. So here's the thing, though. She wasn't asking them just to review her book, like an e-arc. And then she was like, we pay for the paper. She had a paperback book box, right, that she
Hmm.
wanted to send them with like swag and goodies and whatever.
Lovely
And
marketing tool, as an aside.
great marketing tool, and we can definitely dive into talking about that because the industry has changed a lot in that way. But so she wanted to send them this PR box, and then you know taking, like I said in the TikTok video, I'm going to go out on a wild limb and assume that she wanted them to then post that unboxing or do something else with the book that she sent
Right.
on their very large platform. And when she got these rate cards back saying, I expect to be paid for doing that, she was just like aghast. And what got me was the comments. The comments were like, the audacity of these book talkers. Like, oh my God, I can't believe people would charge for that. Dude, she didn't
Oh,
say how many followers these influencers had, but if you're charging $7,000, 8,000, you have 1 million followers. You have around 1 million followers or more,
sure. Sure.
because that's likely.
Or you have so much content already to create and to share with your audience that you don't need the additional business.
Correct,
I mean,
correct.
at some point, the market demands that prices go up because there's just not room for everybody at the table, right? Like if
Correct.
you approach a content creator, a book talker whose dance card is completely full, you're going to get back a pretty steep rate card from them.
Yeah.
They've got enough content already from other people asking to do partnerships and collabs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't need it. And
exactly.
this reminded me of back in the day, when indie blogging, indie books just came out and blogging,
Hmm.
excuse me, was a thing. And there were some big bloggers who started to charge for promotional placements on their sites.
Hmm.
And that was there was a whole kerfluffle about that. So this is very reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
But then there was a huge blogger, and I don't even think she blogs anymore. So I will throw her name out there because she was great. Acis Book Blog.
Yeah.
Love Acis. And she was huge, huge. If you got your book on Acis's blog page,
Yep.
your book was going up the charts. Period.
Absolutely.
Her audience was loyal and amazing and engaging and
It
you
was an
know,
almost guaranteed boost for an author who'd never been featured by her in the past. Like,
correct.
it's a big
And
deal.
it was huge.
Yeah.
And she did not charge for any of it. She refused to even accept a free book. So she would go and purchase the books on her own and would read the books and would then post her reviews. Her
Yeah.
thing was that she wanted everything from her blog to be from her own personal viewpoint. She didn't want to
Exactly.
be swayed by having received a free book. She didn't want to any of that. And I respect the hell out of that. I really did. She did do some things like you could pay to have like a giveaway posted, but it had
Hmm.
nothing to do with like reviews or reviewing the
Right.
book or anything like that. She bought all of her books and people would literally clamor to try to get her to buy their book, to read their
Hmm.
book and promote their book. And she just, her view, at least from what I read, was that she didn't want it to become a job for her. This was
Yep.
fun for her. This was something she enjoyed.
A
And
creative
she,
outlet, a hobby. She was
yes.
not trying to monetize it. She wanted to be authentic.
And that is valid, totally
Yeah.
valid. And I'm sure that there are some very large book talkers out there who that is their jam as well. And that's how they feel too.
Hmm.
But on the other side of the coin, there is nothing wrong with charging for doing work
Yeah.
at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a platform that has value. You control that. It's yours.
Right.
If you want to charge for access to that to third parties, it's totally your right to do so. And we could debate the merits of that in a different context, but that's not really what this is about. This is just about knowing your audience and being prepared for what you're attempting to do as an author, right? Because this person whose TikTok you responded to probably didn't realize the monetary value of these book talk accounts and the people who are pouring all kinds of time and sweat equity into building and maintaining them. Um,
That, or she did. I mean, it's also possible that she didn't realize that they were charging
mhm.
for some of the content. I won't say a lot because I don't know.
Right,
Some of the
right.
content that they were
Sure.
posting, and she perhaps thought it was all organic, and then was put very,
Or
taken
that
aback.
perhaps her PR box was enough of a payment in terms of having access to that audience. Let me send you some free stuff on my
Right,
dime. And I mean, obviously, you will kindly entertain that and share it with the people who follow you,
right.
and perhaps even get some level of virality and be pushed out to the FYP so that more than just your regular audience sees the content. I mean, brain wise, that's not a wrong assumption to make or a bad
Oh
assumption to
no,
make.
not at all. I think that expecting it is the wrong assumption to make.
Yes. Yes.
Because certainly we have sent out PR
Oh, of
boxes with the
course.
hope that the people who receive it will post it.
Mhm. Sure.
But I have not, made a video or ever complained, nor will I, about the people who didn't,
Yeah.
post about
Hmm.
it because they didn't say that they would.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Some people did, and that's great. And that got more eyes on our clients' books. But unless I have unless I paid for it or you've given me some sort of guarantee that you're going to be posting it, I don't expect anything from sending out a random PR box.
Absolutely.
And nor should you. And just to the listener. Um, but yeah, can they be expensive? Are they expensive? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So it is nice to get a guarantee that somebody's going to open it and share it with the world. And there are plenty of creators on TikTok. TikTok has what, like, how many users do they have? Like 150 million? Like
Yeah, something
it
like
is
that.
a fuck ton. And there are,
That is a new standard measurement, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck
yes,
ton.
there are plenty of creators on that app who would absolutely love to receive your box and will then graciously post it in exchange for receipt of that box.
Hmm.
The problem was that this person was targeting the high value
Yeah.
influencers because she wanted free advertising.
The
I
book
mean,
talkers with the biggest audiences.
yeah.
Absolutely. Of course. Listen, you got to shoot your shot,
I'm,
okay?
I'm
Like,
not I'm not
from,
mad at her shooting her shot. But I
from an
am.
in like the hustling we do for indies, I completely appreciate where this woman was coming from. You got to shoot your shot. Like, if you don't ask,
Sure.
you
But
miss
then don't make a
100% of those shots you don't take.
But then don't
But
make a
yes,
TikTok about it, bitching that, they're charging for their valid work that they're
right,
doing.
right.
I
Understand
mean,
understand who you're approaching and how they do business.
yeah. I that was wild. So, just so you know, to everybody that, it's not all $7,000, $8,000. There's people of a
No,
variety
oh
of
my
levels.
goodness, no.
Yeah. Like there's $50, there's $100, there's, 75,
$500. Yeah. I mean,
400.
there's a whole range of creators and creator rate
No.
cards out there. And it's usually commensurate with the creator's experience, their audience size, their deliverables in the past. Because, I mean, if I'm going to plop down $7,000 or $8,000 for a large audience channel to promote my PR box or my new release or my backlist sale, I'm definitely going to expect to get way more than $7,000 or $8,000 in a sales bump out of that, right?
Right,
So
right.
they're charging based on what they can potentially and have done in the past for other
Yep.
authors,
And
for
they
sure.
didn't start at 7,000. So there's a
Right.
reason that they're there.
Exactly.
They know their worth, and I'm glad for them. I'm glad that
Mhm.
they've been able to make a business out of this and,
Yes.
do it. Absolutely.
Well, and
Um,
something else that I think is important is if you have never done something like this before, have a chat with someone who has.
yeah,
I think one of the issues in this particular scenario may have just been a complete lack of experience and knowledge.
right.
Um, there are plenty of authors who are partnering with content creators and who have paid rates for certain placements, for certain content to be shared for them in one way, shape, or form. And they can tell you, this was worth it for me. I spent X number of dollars and I saw a Y boost to whatever it was I was promoting.
Yeah,
Whether it's just trying to find new readers, whether it was a new release, a sale, whatever. And, do some comparison shopping.
absolutely. Absolutely. Find someone who's done it before and ask them.
Exactly.
Or, hire us and we can tell you the whole thing. There you go.
Absolutely. I mean, among other things, that's exactly what we do.
Exactly. So, speaking of other ways that the industry has changed, I
Mm.
mean, there's so many other things that have popped up other than TikTok past couple years. I mean, there's Patreon, there's
Yes.
Kickstarters now.
Yes.
Um, I mean,
Substacks,
subs,
Discord, so many different things.
yeah. And so it can definitely feel overwhelming for an author to figure out, what should I be using? What is going to get me the best bang for my buck?
Yep.
I mean, there's merchandise. You can now do merchandise easily, pretty much through, a Printful or Printify and
Absolutely.
link that to your website. That used to be something that was, you know, really only available to larger, author brands.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And
so
you no
the
longer have to order by the piece or like order
Yep,
in bulk in order to keep stock and be responsible for your own inventory and shipping. It's so much easier to run a merch store that way.
yeah, and I know it is so easy to get wrapped up in wanting to do the shiny, trendy thing, like sprayed edges or hardbacks with foil covers and
Yes.
all, discreet
The
covers.
discreet alternate cover.
Yes, I get it. They are pretty. They're pretty
Or fun,
or
depending on your
fun.
vibe. Right.
Yes,
Absolutely.
they are great, and I 1000% understand the draw. But also know that if you're not doing those, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. And you have to find out if you really want one, get one for yourself. Make it yourself and have it as a personal
Sure.
copy for
Sure.
yourself. If you think that it's a product that could be marketable to your audience, test it out and see if that's something they're interested in. But
Take
don't
it with you
go
to a signing event and see how well readers respond to it,
right.
debut it in a public venue and just see what feedback you get.
Or try to do a Kickstarter where you're not
Yeah,
putting forth like a bunch of the money up front. You're doing a
exactly.
Kickstarter for it and see if the market's there before you dump a whole bunch of money into something that may or may not sit on your shelves for years to
Yep.
come. I 1000% understand the enticement because, I like sprayed edges too. So I get it.
I can take or leave them, but I understand the draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting here like see my toxic trait is I'm like, "Oh, I can do that." So, that's
let, let me bust out the glow forge and everything else in my craft room and see
yeah,
what I can make happen. That's Heather. Yes, that
that is
definitely.
that's my
Yeah.
toxic trait. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, yeah, let me just go spend $500 on all the equipment I'm going to need to make one sprayed edge hardcover." Yeah. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but it's
It'll happen.
it probably will happen.
It'll happen.
It'll happen. But
And when
yeah,
it does, we'll bring it to you right here on the podcast.
we will. We will. I'll do my first one. Oh, the first ones
Oh,
are always terrible. My first one of anything is always terrible.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's all right. But it'll
Now,
happen.
so going back to this idea of industry changes just really quickly,
Yeah.
something else that comes to mind is the landscape for actually how you publish as an author
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
So used to be you either published wide or you published exclusively with Amazon and you made your books available in Kindle Unlimited. Now you have the option to make your book available through a subscription lending service while still being wide, thanks to Kobo
Yeah.
and the Kobo Plus program. So that's a whole new frontier that we're sort of learning one day at a time and exploring together right now in the industry.
Yeah. I mean, it's brand new.
Yep.
So it's only what, like a month or two old. So we don't have a
We're
whole lot
really
of
in its
data.
infancy right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so exciting though, for a variety of reasons. And listen, you can download the Kobo app
Yep.
on your, devices, on your phone or whatever.
Whatever tech you use.
You do
Yes.
just like the Amazon app. You do not need
That's
to
right.
buy a Kindle to access the Kindle app, nor do you need to buy a Kobo reader to access the Kobo app. It's the same sort of thing.
Spoiler alert, I use all the apps on my iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
All of them.
All of them. And so, because I saw some people at first like, oh, I don't want to buy another reader. You don't have to buy
Totally get
another
that.
reader.
But that's exactly,
Yeah.
that's not a cost of entry for
Yeah.
participating as a reader in the Kobo Plus program. Just download the app and subscribe.
Right. And frankly, I'm loving the accessibility of it
Mhm.
because there are so many wide authors who just won't go into KU because of the exclusivity requirement.
Sure.
And
And KU has its own problems, which
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about another day.
very valid concern. And especially if you've been wide for a very long time,
Yeah.
you're likely making decent money on these other platforms, and to lose out on that is
Sure.
you're not going to do that.
Absolutely.
So having this accessibility platform for wide authors, and I mean accessibility for the reader, because listen, buying books is a very expensive hobby. It
Amen.
is very expensive. So having one subscription that you can now have access to all of these books that are otherwise distributed wide is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
And from what I was reading about Kobo Plus's payments to authors, it actually makes sense and is based on a real formula as opposed to.
Oh, it's not just some mystery pot where bonuses may be going out to Vela people from the KU subscribe. I'm sorry, I'm getting on my
Yeah,
high horse before
I
we do that
know.
episode, but like,
It's like, oh my God, there's a real formula here that like
yeah,
makes sense.
that's interesting.
Um,
And also good for Kobo because it's probably a definitive business model that they can follow to
yes.
try and make the platform succeed. I mean, only time will tell if it'll catch on enough for them to keep it going. But yeah, I like the idea that there is a definitive rubric there for how people are going to be making their royalties from being enrolled.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. But no, I just thought that was, another one of those really interesting developments in the industry and how things have changed. Because, we used to just have debates with our clients in consulting with them on the pros and cons of wide versus being exclusive with
Yeah.
Amazon. And now it's a different conversation in the sense that you have the ability to be in a subscription reading program for people on a budget
Yeah.
while also publishing wide. I mean, it's a brand new frontier.
It's great. It's fantastic. And I mean, and not to mention the fact that there's now a ton more library options than there
Yes.
ever were before. I mean, there's Hoopla and Libby
Mm-hmm.
and Scribd and just, excuse me, so many more options than there
Yep.
used to be. So I'm loving where technology is going in regards to accessibility for
But what
reading.
about the AI?
I know. I know. We're gonna have to have a whole episode on
A
AI.
whole episode on AI. I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
So I feel like with AI, it's going to be a lot harder to take off the lawyer hats. Because
Yeah.
for those in the audience who don't know, Heather and I both used to practice law before we found our ways into 1852 media. When it comes to AI, all I can think about is the lawyer stuff.
Yeah. That's same. Same. It is practically impossible for
Yeah.
me to not think about copyrights and all of
Yes.
that intellectual
Plagiarism,
property,
intellectual property.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
All
just,
of it.
yeah. And how it all intersects and, um, yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, but like not even publishing, but I was looking at Photoshop's new AI generative tool,
Yeah.
which I actually think is the least offensive AI image creation tool that I've seen. Like
That's great.
least offensive in legal speaking terms.
Okay.
Because
Not
it's
so much maybe culturally, but at least legally.
legally. Because it takes like a piece of the image. You can put like an image in, and then you can like make your canvas bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then ask it to like fill in the rest, and it'll fill it in like it's the picture. It's crazy. It is.
Wow.
It is batshit crazy in a
Oh
good
my
way.
gosh. Everybody and their brother is going to be really good at Photoshop soon.
I know. And you can say like you can circle somebody and just say like take out the person, and it takes it out and fills it in with what otherwise looks like the background.
Well, and so that's been possible using Photoshop for years, but like you have to have a set of skills in order
Correct.
to understand how to use all of the different Photoshop settings to make that happen. This is literally just you tell the AI that's what you want done and the AI does it.
Yes. So this is point and
Fabulous.
click as opposed to like cloning every single pixelated cell and, making it happen. So it's glorious. And I think probably legally the least offensive. Now, of course, can you use it for potentially legally offensive things? Oh, yeah. Sure. But for its basic purpose, least offensive. And then there's, of course, Mid-Journey and other things and AI for book cover art. And that is going to that's different. that is going to have to be a whole conversation,
Sure.
I think.
Sure. Chat GPT outlining books and God only knows what else.
Yeah. So we will get into that. I think that we'll get into that next. What do you think, Veronica?
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. We could spend way longer than this episode has been probably talking about all of the implications and ramifications and yeah.
So, well, if you got nothing from this particular podcast, I want you to walk away with the knowledge that the market is going to always change.
Oh,
And
yes, yes. This is something that is just constantly happening.
right. And just like any business, you have to evolve and figure out a way to evolve with the changing markets in order to keep yourself relevant and thus keep yourself making money.
Yes.
So that is something to think about, and think about these things as tools. Don't think about them as a chore, something that you have to do.
Right.
They're tools that you can use for your business in order to help it succeed. So
long as you're willing to be adaptable and learn them.
exactly.
And you don't have to master every tool in your toolbox. Some tools can be like a very rarely once in a while tool. Other tools are going to be the tools you use every day. You just have to stay on top of them and continue learning and rolling with the changes.
Exactly. So, well, let's leave them with an evergreen marketing tip.
Ooh, what you got? What you got?
Okay. Evergreen marketing tip of the day, I'm going to say, is expectations. Evergreen marketing expectations. If you are not meeting your consumers' expectations, you're doing it wrong. So, an evergreen marketing tip is for those that don't know, is a tip that is basically always going to stay the same no matter what. No matter the market conditions. And so
universal truths.
Universal truths. So expectations in the book industry, you need to meet your readers' expectations. If you are saying it's a romance, it needs to be an actual romance and end in a happily ever after. If you are showing a book cover that looks like a particular genre, it should be that particular genre, or else you are going to get some reviewers who are not going to be pleased that you have not met their expectations. Right. So it's about making sure that what you're putting out, and this is applicable across all industries, that what you're putting out is going to meet the other side's expectation, the consumer, the reader, whomever it may be. Making sure that those things are consistent will help you to get sales and keep loyal customers.
Not only that, find new loyal customers, because
Correct.
The word of mouth, the reviews are going to be, this is the best XYZ I've found.
Correct.
I always get my expectations met when I buy or borrow this author's book or this business's whatever.
You know what you're getting. So
exactly. That's a good tip.
Thank you. Thank you. So that is your evergreen marketing tip of the day. And we will see you next week for a whole chat about AI.
Yes. And another evergreen marketing tip.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.